you throw the last pitch, strikeout. It's not, look at you. Your movement is across your chest. Why that?
That's just what we stood for. We go out there and we play for Oklahoma State University. Like, you don't go out there playing for yourself. And
Welcome back to the Pokes for Life podcast. This is Hub Roberts here alongside Brian Holiday. Brian, welcome to the show. You're actually the first member of the 2024 alumni to join the show. So welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you back here in Stillwater for the off season.
Absolutely.
For those of you that don't know Brian just pitched here this last season. Pretty remarkable stats. 16 starts, 7-3 record. He led the Big 12 in innings pitch and strikeouts. He pitched 3 complete games and was a third-round pick of the St. Louis Cardinals. So, Brian, let's kind of go way back. Out of high school, you're from Tampa, Florida, Land O'Lakes High School. You have a really good senior year, 157 strikeouts, 77 innings pitched, a 1.0 ERA. What's the college process look like for you out of high school?
I didn't really have very many schools or anything like reaching out to me at all. Like you said, I did what I could my senior year to put our team in a good spot, but nobody really wanted that stock right-handed like pitcher that was just shorter than everybody else, and so the only offer that like I really got was a walk-on spot over to Florida Southwestern, and I was more than grateful to take that. One of my really close friends, Cole Robertson, he was already committed there, and we ended up being roommates there. And when I first got to school, I pitched a little bit like in the fall, but I still felt like that I was at like the bottom of like the totem pole, and turns out that I was like one of like the last guys to even like make the roster or anything, and I just felt like that with that opportunity that was in front of me that I just had to take advantage of it and show that I could pitch at the collegiate level. Like I said, I was the last guy to make the roster, and then going into the spring, I ended up being like one of our guys like out of the bullpen, threw quite a bit of innings out of the bullpen, and I ended up winning like the Fireman of the Year award for like the state of Florida. And then that ended up getting me like an opportunity to play in the Cape Cod League with Tom Holliday and a lot of the former players from Oklahoma State like Rock and Aiden and Marcus Brown and everyone. And that was a blast up there. Played the full summer up there. And then I ended up going to another JUCO school, College of Central Florida, where they like transformed me into a starter and threw a lot more innings that year, had a lot more strikeouts. And then I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship here.
All right, so your first year at Florida Southwestern, out of the bullpen, 74 strikeouts, 52 innings pitched. What changed from – and you changed schools here too. You started off at Florida Southwestern, you go to Central Florida. What kind of led that change to, get that next step into turning into a starter?
I think it was just – like coming out of the bullpen, you have a lot of like adrenaline, and like that's kind of like how like you pitch. Like you come in, it's like a big scenario, or it's like a close game or something, and like you have time warming up in the bullpen to where you're not really thinking about anything. You're just warming up and just going. And I think starting, it's like you don't really get as much adrenaline until like later on into a game, once like you really like find your groove. And that for me was like the biggest like change was trying to get my adrenaline going from like the jump when I'm doing like my pregame bullpen. And I think once I started to like, because I struggled a little bit like going into like a starting role, because it was like you come in as a reliever, like you're just throwing as hard as you can, like hitting your spots and stuff. And it was like a starter, you kind of had to like use your stamina and kind of like not just go in and throwing as hard as you can. And so I think that like transition was a little bit different for me, but after the fall and a couple games like going into the spring, I started to find that, and I found my slider like halfway throughout the year, which then I ended up using like a 4-pitch mix, which helped me out a lot too. And I think after, because I mean out of the bullpen, I had fastball, curveball, and once I got to College of Central Florida, then I added in a slider halfway throughout the year, and I had like my changeup that I would use every once in a while. And I think once I had like that slider to get everybody off like my fastball as well, and not just throw like my curveball with it, I think it just gave them another pitch to kind of think about, which led to a lot of success as well.
All right, so between those 2 years, you pitch up in the Cape and Chatham. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. I mean, especially playing for like Tom and Tom Holliday. We had a couple of other coaches like we had this coach named like Cookie, Dennis Cook, and he was like our pitching coach down in the bullpen, and he was awesome. But just being able to play against like competition like that, like some of the best guys in like college baseball and everything, and summer baseball is more of like a kind of like relaxed kind of like baseball feeling. Like it's still like very like competitive, but it's more of like you're out there to also like have like a lot of fun too, especially when you're playing in like the Cape too. Like there's just a lot of like scenic areas around there as well. But just being able to go against like some of the best guys in college baseball and being able to like meet different guys that are at all of like these like Power 5 schools, and me being like a JUCO guy, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then especially like when I started talking to Oklahoma State, like being able to talk to like Rock about it, and Aiden and Marcus and everybody, and hearing their like insight about like what their experience is like at like a big school like this, like it was just a different experience for me, because I just wasn't used to that kind of stuff.
So that summer, give us a little timeline of, I guess, the recruiting process out of junior college. We'll get a little deeper into it. So did the recruiting process for you start while you were pitching in Chatham, or was it kind of in that first spring at Florida Southwestern?
So at the end of my freshman year, I started to get like one or two phone calls from like Florida and Florida State, and just because I mean they were in Florida, so like they somewhat knew about me. And like growing up, like I feel like anybody from the state of Florida, like University of Florida, is always like that school that you want to go to. It's the biggest school in Florida and stuff, and everybody always watches them growing up. And so like I thought it was pretty cool that when I started like talking to them and everything, I was like, wow, like I'm talking to the University of Florida. And turned out that I was like a non-qualifier like out of high school, had 50 to 16 like core credits because I took like some like science class my freshman year that wasn't on like the NCAA list. So after my freshman year, I couldn't like transfer to like a D1 school, so I had to go JUCO again and end up getting like my AA, which I didn't even know that like out of high school, which I mean I would have found out because I didn't talk to any D1s or anything. But I mean once I found that out, like it definitely like kind of sucked, like not being able to like just know that I could even go to D1 until I got my AA. But again, I was more than grateful to go JUCO again and play with Marty Smith at College of Central Florida and have the season that we had and everything. But Josh started to reach out after the like middle towards the end of my first summer up in Chatham, and then I ended up committing to College of Central Florida. And then when I got home, before I even moved into College of Central Florida, I was talking to Josh, and we I just felt like a bond between us, like from like the first like text message. And like any coach that I talked to, like from there, like I wasn't like committing based off of like Oklahoma State's track record or facilities or anything like that. Like I committed based off of like the conversations I was like having with Josh. And I feel like a lot of coaches like nowadays they kind of tell players like what they want to hear, like when they're trying to like recruit them. And Josh was just very straight up with me, and he was like nothing's like guaranteed. Like you got to come in here and want to be able to work and prove yourself that you can pitch at like this level and everything, and that's how like you earn your spot. And I was like yeah, like that's what I want. And he showed that he cared about me. It felt like that I was already like a Cowboy before like I even committed. And by the time that I got home after the summer, we ended up talking over the phone, and it was like instant. I committed like while we were on the phone, and yeah, probably the best decision I ever made.
Well, we'll go back to that in a second. We can't overlook your year at Central Florida. You guys won the national title.
Mm-hmm.
You go 10-0 with a 3.07 ERA, 141 strikeouts over 88 innings pitched. You led junior college in strikeouts. Kind of tell us a little bit about that experience leading a team as a starter now. You developed into a starter. You're at a new school. You guys end up winning the national title in the junior college ranks. What was that experience like?
We knew that we were good, like, going into the fall, and then once we come out in the spring, I think we were, like, preseason ranked, like, number 4 or something, and then after a couple of weeks, we ended up jumping up to the number 1 spot, so it was like we always had a target on our back the whole entire season. But a lot of, like, our success and, like, my success all came from, like, we had such a powerful offense. I mean, we hit, like, 119 home runs, and we batted, like, 340 or 350 as a team. Like, it was probably one of the most historic, like, offenses in junior college baseball that year. And I just knew when I was on the mound that I had all my guys back. They had my back, and it was like if I gave up, like, any kind of runs or, like, anything like that they were going to go out and put more runs up on the board. And that's why I was 10-0, because it was like, I mean, I started 3.07 like ERA, but it was like if I gave up 3-4 runs, like, we were going to get like 10. And having that kind of confidence, like, as a pitcher, especially with a good defense behind you, like, makes it easy for, like, you to pitch. But I didn't really, like, I had a decent amount of strikeouts throughout the year, but once I found, like, that slider, like I said, like, that was when, like, the strikeouts kind of started to come about a little bit more. And then we went to the JUCO World Series over in Grand Junction, Colorado, and, like, I think my first outing there, we run ruled the first team, and I threw 5 innings, and I think I struck out, like, 14 of the 15 batters that, like, I faced. And then I ended up coming out of the bullpen like a couple of days later to close out, like, one of the games, and I think I struck out 4 guys and an inning and a third. So I struck out, like, all the guys that I saw then. So I started off, like, the tournament, like, striking out 18 of the 19 guys that, like, I faced. So, like, I mean, that was, like, pretty cool. But then I ended up facing Wabash and ended up getting hit around a little bit, decent amount. And, I mean, we still ended up winning that game, which was the longest game in JUCO World Series history. It was like a 5-hour and 20-minute long game, and ended up going, like, I think 12 or 13 innings, I want to say, and we ended up scoring, I think, 7 in the last inning. And then, yeah, it was insane. And we were down. We had this kid named Edwin Toribio, and he had, like, a fractured hand. He was in a cast for, like, 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something, and missed all of states, all of, like, our regionals and everything. And then we come down to 2 outs. A freshman hits a ball off the wall, scores 1 run. We were down by 2, and Edwin is like I can't hit. And so we end up putting, like, one of these, like, freshmen in that barely got any at-bats, like, all year. And we had a runner on second with 2 outs. And after, like, he realized that we were, like, down by 1, he's like, never mind, like, I can hit. And we were like, oh, geez. And so they have him all, like, shifted over. He was, like, our big power hitter, batting, like, 410 with 22 home runs or something crazy. And they have him all shifted over pull side, and he ends up hitting this little dink, like, between, like, the first and second base, and ends up scoring the tying run. And as soon as we tied it up, we're like we're winning this game. There's no way we're not.
Now you're the most outstanding player of that tournament too?
Pitcher of the
Most outstanding
tournament.
pitcher,
Something like that.
I did my research on this. So not being here when you were going through the recruiting process, I had to refresh my memory. All right, so after that summer, you go pitch in Chatham.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, being a junior college pitcher, your second year, you're to the point where are you at in the draft process at this point?
Like, leading up to coming here after my sophomore year?
Yeah. What did the draft process look like you coming after that sophomore year?
I mean, I felt like that I had, like, a shot at getting drafted. I was talking to a few teams and everything, and I mean, obviously teams can say one thing and then end up, like, not picking you or anything, but I wasn't necessarily very intrigued, like, into the draft, because I was already committed here, and I told Josh that I wanted to be here. Like, my dream, like, my goal was to just, like, play here, be at this level. Like, this is everything that I ever wanted, and I stuck to that, and I wasn't really like. I mean, the draft is definitely like very cool, and it's like a great like opportunity and everything to like kind of like change your life. But like I was dead set on like coming here, so I didn't really focus on it like really too much, and I just wanted to come to a place and play under Josh and be able to get with guys like Rob Walton and everyone around here and just be a part of something like this. And so I didn't really put too much attention into the draft like that year, and I was more focused on just, how am I going to be ready for the fall.
Yeah. You get on campus here in Stillwater last August, and right now it's what, September? We're doing this in September.
25th.
Yeah, it's been a year since you came on campus.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of your first thoughts as you kind of get situated, you get rolling, as kind of fall ball started going, and how did you attack kind of your day-to-day stuff?
I mean, I came in and I knew that I needed to prove myself again. I knew that we were going to have a really good team and that we were going to be loaded. And I just knew that this is Power 5 baseball now. This isn't like JUCO baseball is like really good baseball, but this is also like a different level of baseball. This is like another stage. And I just knew like coming in that I need to be able to work my butt off to even get a spot like on this team and be able to be one of our guys. And that's all I wanted. I mean, I wanted to come in and be able to help out in whatever way that I could. Not necessarily like just be in it for like myself. I mean, obviously like I wanted to progress and get better as the longer that like I was here and everything, but I was also there for, everybody else. Like I wasn't there to just, be there for Brian Holiday. Like it was like I wanted to be part of the team. I wanted to be around everybody. I wanted to be close with everybody, and also kind of give off that like, like, hey, like I'm here for you as well. And that like I'm not just like doing this like for myself. And I feel like that I started to get like respect from like others. And I mean, I always joked around with everybody too, just kind of messed around and everything as well. But I don't know. I coming in, I knew that I had a lot to prove. So like when we got into scrimmages and everything, like I knew that I had to like step up my game, because my first outing in the fall, I don't know if you remember, but Aiden Miola took me deep, and I was like, well, welcome to Power 5 baseball. And I ended up walking 2 guys or something in 2 innings, and I was like, it's kind of like a wake up call for me. And so I don't know. It made me want to work harder, but at the same time, it also made me want to be around like my teammates more and just be there in any way that I could.
So you come into the fall. That's when the pitchers spend a lot of time with Rob.
Mm-hmm.
What were your impressions, or when did it kind of click? Like, okay, Rob's has a special way of doing things. What did you kind of take out of your experience with Rob?
So I already knew a lot about him, like coming in, like from guys that like I played with and stuff, and I already had a really good feel for how he was. And then once I got here, it was still like just being able to talk to him about like ball and everything. Like they call him the wizard for a reason. Like he just has such a good mind for baseball. He has such a good mind for pitching, and not only pitching, but just like as like a whole, like offense, defense, like everything. Like it wasn't just like he was majority helping out the pitchers, but he was helping out infielders with like certain plays, or hitters with like certain things, because his son Donnie Walton's also a hitter in the big leagues now. And like, so I mean, and he's been around baseball his whole entire life and just has a crazy mind for it. But when I first like sat down with him and we started going over like film and stuff and some of like my pitch grips, and he switched around a couple of my pitch grips, like my curveball, my changeup and everything, and just like the mentality that you gotta have like at like this level, and not just being able to blow hitters by, like you got to be able to hit the corners and everything and execute your pitches. And I felt like that as soon as I like started to like get with him and started to pick his brain as much as I could, that's like that helped me develop like as a player as well, because like not only doing it like in the bullpen, but also being able to talk to him like on the side, like in his office and going over film and everything. I thought that was crucial, because I never really like went over like film or anything like that at the JUCO level, because we didn't necessarily always have like that great of like technology. And once like I got here and we were able to like talk about like all that kind of stuff, and we were able to really like slow it down and see like some of the things like I was doing wrong or how my pitch shapes were like working with different grips and stuff. Like it really helped me kind of like understand like what I needed to do.
Before we transition into the spring, what's the biggest thing you took out of your development in the fall before you took it into Christmas break, then also in the first kind of month of practice going into the season? What's the biggest thing you took out of that?
Well, one, for me, it was to be more mobile, like coming back in the spring, because I was very like, I was more like stocky and like I just was very like tight. So like I knew that I had to be more mobile coming back, and just when I like my whole ramp up process throwing wise, like was just being able to execute, like practice with like a purpose. So, like anytime that I was playing catch or anything, like I'd find something that I wanted to like hit that day, whether it was somebody's like left shoulder, it was right at the chest, like at their head or something. Like I was always like finding something to where like I need to focus on like my like command and see like what like how good like I can get it. And then like I'd start throwing like my bullpens and stuff, and I'd have a catcher set up on the outside part of the plate, and I'd sit there and literally I'd just keep on throwing it to that spot until like I found like my release point and being able to execute that pitch multiple times. And then we go inside and breaking balls and everything like that. And I think that like because Rob kind of like instilled that in us, execute, and so that made me like be like, well, like in a way, like it doesn't matter how hard you're throwing or how good like your stuff is, if you're able to execute a pitch, like you're gonna get hitters out. And so that was kind of my thought process going all throughout the fall, like coming into the spring.
We come into the spring. If I remember right, your first outing at Sam Houston, you go 6 or 7 innings, and then you get your first taste of a big scene Saturday night, Globe Life Field against Arkansas. 6 innings, really long game actually. Your boy Lane walks us off with I guess a squeeze bunt. Yeah. There. I couldn't articulate the words, but kind of leading into conference play, what did those first 4 kind of starts, non-conference, you had them in Sam Houston, Arkansas, Central Michigan, and Mercer. What did kind of those 4 starts kind of teach you about this level as we got deeper into the season?
Well, Arkansas was a big test. I mean, I knew that like going up against Sam Houston, like obviously it's your first start at like this level and stuff, and we lost on Friday, so I felt like that I kind of needed to put us in like a good position to be able to win on Saturday. And didn't matter like what my stat line was, and just finding a way to be able to put us in like a good spot. And then once we got to the Arkansas game, I mean, I knew that was going to be a big game. They were ranked 2nd in the country, and not that like I necessarily like cared about it. Like I knew it was like a big game. I knew that they were ranked 2nd and stuff, but I was like these guys are just like us. Like it's us versus them. Like they're the same age as us, like within a couple of years or whatever. Like they're going out there to try to win a baseball game just like we are. And so again, like my thought process throughout all of those starts, like leading up to conference play, was just like, you know, what's the best way that I could put us into a good position to win, and especially being on Saturday, like finding a way to be able to save like our bullpen going into Sunday to either sweep or win a series or something. And yeah, I mean that's kind of all I was thinking, was just trying to figure out a way to give up less runs than what we were hitting, and putting us in a good position to where they had confidence in me, and gave our offense a chance to go out there and produce.
You mentioned talking about saving innings for the bullpen for the next day. 15 of your 16 outings, you went 6+ innings. You had 3 complete games, 5 double-digit strikeouts. What does that mean in your mind that you were able to perform at that level? How did that affect the team going into, some of the series? You're either going for a sweep on Sunday or you're going for the series. What does, in your mind, being a pitcher, doing something like that, saving your arms on Saturday, what does that mean kind of for the team from your point of view?
I mean, Sam was a very dominant Friday night guy, and like he would always get the job done on Fridays as well. But like usually your first guys out of the bullpen are always going to come out of the bullpen on Fridays. And so, like, Saturdays, like, we still had, like, a loaded bullpen. It was, like, whoever was coming in after me on Saturdays, like, I knew that they were going to go in and deal as well. But usually, like, when I was going on, like, Saturdays, it's like, okay, we burnt, like, first two arms out of the bullpen or first arm out of the bullpen or something, and, like, he's going to bounce back for Sunday. So, like, Saturday I was, like, more, like, I don't want to waste more arms out of the bullpen that, we may need for Sunday or something. And so I just knew that I couldn't go out there and be, like, thinking about stats or seeing how many guys I could strike out, or if we got into a situation that, like I needed to be able to pitch to, like, the situation. If there's a run on first base, like, I need to get a ground ball. And, like, there's a time against Texas where I threw 41 pitches in the first inning, which is the most I've ever thrown in the first inning ever, and hopefully it stays like that. But and we lose on Friday, and we used a couple of guys out of the bullpen on Friday as well. And I knew that if I already had 40 pitches in the first inning, like, I need to get weak contact. Like, I can't just sit there and try to strike out everybody. I need to figure out a way to get these, like, 7 to 10 pitch innings to where I can just, rapidly, like, get outs and be able to find a way to still put us in a good position and eat up some of the innings. That way we didn't have to use as many arms. That way on Sunday we were loaded. And that's kind of what, like, I did. And unfortunately, I mean, we still lost on Saturday, but which was kind of my fault because, I mean, we ended up tying up the game, and then I go out for the last inning and end up giving up another run. But, I mean, I don't know. You can't go out there and think about, like, yourself. Like, you got to think about the other 8 guys that are behind you. You got to think about if our offense isn't necessarily going, like, the first, like, couple innings, finding a way to still put zeros up on the board to where when they come in, like, they're still, like, stress-free, and they're like, well, like, our pitcher has our back. Like, we need to get his back, or vice versa. And so I felt like the more zeros that I put up on the board, it put more confidence into our hitters to where we're like, we just need to go out there and get 1, 2 runs or whatever.
As you got deeper into the year, you went deeper into the games and your outings. Your last 2 outings, you got a complete game at the Big 12 tournament, and then you have what's your mindset at the tournament? You're in a big situation here. I think that was the game to send us into the championship,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's your mindset going into that?
We lose to UCF the day before, and I knew that we had Texas Tech and UCF again. Granted, if we beat Texas Tech, we'd have to play UCF again, and I knew that was going to be my game, and I knew that Sam had Texas Tech, and so we're both sitting with each other, like, in the hotel room before, and I'm looking at Sam. I'm like we're both going 8+ tomorrow. Like, we're extending out. We're getting this bullpen a breather and we're gonna go beat OU in the championship because, I mean, we knew that they were gonna end up being in the championship, and we wanted nothing more than to go out and win that tournament. And so me and Sam both knew that we had to go extended amount of innings to be able to go into the championship with all of our arms. And so Sam went out there his first game, and he did exactly that. Goes 8 innings and like unlimited punchies, and I think we brought in Kranz maybe for like 1 inning and only threw like 12 pitches or something. And so I was like, all right, like, now I got to stick to my word and go do the same thing. And so I went out there, and like, I knew that it was going to be my game, and I just went out there with the confidence, especially when our offense, like, they started putting runs up on the board super early. I was like, oh yeah, they're like, UCF's done. And I remember facing them before earlier on in the season in Florida, and threw pretty decent against them, and we ended up like losing the series. And I knew that, like, me along with all the other guys held a grudge about that, and we knew that when it mattered most and we had to face them, that we were going to beat them because we knew that we were the better team. And that's kind of exactly like what we did. And so Sam and I ended up giving the bullpen a break on that day, and we ended up going into the tournament championship with a loaded bullpen. And when we first touched the field against OU, we knew that we already owned them the whole entire year. So going into that game, it was kind of just another game for us because we got everybody healthy, and we knew that we were ready to go.
You guys win the Big 12 championship. That night it gets announced you're hosting a regional. You come back here, you get the regional draw the next day. What's your kind of first thought? Well, this is a multifaceted question here. You see Florida pop up in there. What's running through your mind on that?
I loved it. When I saw Florida's name pop up there, I knew that they were going to be dangerous. Their record was definitely not very good at all, but I knew that they had a loaded lineup and they had some good arms, like in the backside of their bullpen. I was ready for it, and I knew with them like coming here and everything, I was pretty pumped to see like our regional, and I thought that we had a pretty good shot at getting out of it. I mean, no matter who was in our regional, it didn't really matter. I knew that we were gonna have a good enough team to be able to compete with anybody that was in our regional.
Right. So you get the ball against Florida. We talked about it on the ride over here. We had the chain, little Fleetwood Mac going. You step onto the mound. What's running through your mind?
Well, first, when I'm sitting in the dugout and we hit back-to-back bombs, almost back-to-back, and
it was back-to-back.
Yeah.
But there's a little fan. Maybe we can get some rails put up or something.
Yeah. But
Kyle, Chief, if you guys are watching, we need some rails.
But I hearing the crowd kind of just get into that, and I mean they were already getting crazy earlier into the game, and I was just like this is it. Like this is the big stage, and this is everything that like any pitcher or player or anybody ever like dreams of, pitching in a packed house like this. And I mean I was pumped up for the big stage, and then going 3-3 down the first inning, and then punched out CAG, and hearing the crowd, like even coming off the mound in the first inning, like they were still getting loud, and then we go out in the third inning, hit back-to-back bombs again, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is what we waited all year for. And I don't know, just going throughout that game, and then you hear our song come on in the seventh inning, and everyone starts singing that, and I was just like this crowd was just like the crowd the whole entire game was just unbelievable. Like hearing them get into the game, singing our song and everything, and then when I went out there for the ninth, and I got a little bit of like a standing ovation running out there. Like I just knew the crowd had my back, and I knew I had everybody else's back, and I don't know, I was just pumped up. And then of course I had to give up a home run to Jack Caglione, but I'm just glad that I ended up finishing out that game and try to put us in the best position to go out there and close it off the next day, which didn't end up happening, unfortunately. But it was a lot of fun, though.
We'll shift a little bit from the regional. So in the classroom at the stadium, Josh has probably 8 or 9 pillars in there. You got integrity. You got accountability, kind of in the moment. You finish, you throw the last pitch, strikeout. It's not look at you. It's not show up your teammates. Your movement is across your chest. Well, why that?
I mean, that's just what we stood for. Like we go out there and we play for Oklahoma State University. Like you don't go out there and play for just one individual person. You don't go out there playing for yourself. And I think that's why we were so successful last year, is because everybody was on the same page. Everybody, all 9 guys that were out there on the field, and even the guys that were like in the dugout, like everybody's there for like each other. And it wasn't like we're just there like playing like just for yourself. And I think when teams kind of go out there, there's like certain players that go out there and play just for themselves. Like you can kind of pick that up, and like team chemistry never really like builds up or anything, and like it just leads to a very unsuccessful season. And the reason why I think we had so much success is because we had so much team chemistry, and there weren't just like those like selfish players. It was everybody was going out there playing for themselves. And so that was kind of like, I don't know. I remember against Central Michigan, like I did that for the first time where I kind of just like did that. And like, I mean, it's just like, it's for Oklahoma State. Like, it's not like I wasn't doing this for me. I'm doing this for everybody else that's on the field. And that's kind of the way that like I've always been. I've tried to be just like the biggest team guy that like I can, just so like, I don't know.
Well, you're out shacking BP. You're putting balls on tees. I mean, I don't think you missed a day of early work last year in the cage, which is unheard of for a pitcher to be out there during early work. You know, you mentioned being a team guy. How did your actions speak louder than words? Your actions there, did that affect your teammates into creating the team chemistry you guys had?
I mean, maybe that's not. I mean, I wasn't going out there to try to like prove anything to anybody. Like I was genuinely like trying to
No,
do all these.
that's who you
Yeah,
are.
like I was just trying to go out there and just be there for like our guys and stuff, and like especially from like day one. Like I feel like you got to kind of create like that relationship with your guys like pretty fast, and because like then once you get in the season, like everybody's already like really close.
Started at Sky Ranch and then
Yeah, Sky Ranch, exactly. And so I don't know. I would just try to go out there and be there for them. And I felt like when I got up on the mound, like they knew I was there for them, and so like that almost like fires them up because they're like we got like our guy like I'm gonna get him as well. And so like and I felt like that was with like anybody that got to the mound was like a lot of our guys were very just like team guys. So it was like anytime that they were playing or they were in the box or fielding the ground ball or something, they're like I got your back, you got my back.
Nice. So the draft rolls around this year. You got a call on day 2 from the Cardinals. Talk to us a little bit about that experience, getting the call, and then the process after.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that no matter what happened, like in the draft, like if I were to come back for another year, like I was gonna be stoked, and like if I had another like year here and everything, like I mean, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. Obviously, I'm very grateful to be a part of like the Cardinals organization and start like a professional career and everything. But I knew that if nothing else, that there was a very good like option to be able to like come back here if Josh let me, and
I think he was gonna. he would have let you come back.
But yeah, I mean, I woke up on day 2 and got a call from my advisor saying the Cardinals were gonna take me in the 4th round at first, and I was like, all right, like cool. And then we got like a phone call from a few like other teams, and I don't really hear anything for like a couple hours, and ended up going to get food with one of my buddies like 45 minutes before the draft, and my advisor calls me again, and then he says that like Cardinals are going to take you in the 3rd round for X amount of dollars, and I was just like that's sweet. And I mean, obviously it's not like guaranteed, like they can say that and then all of a sudden they go out and draft another guy, and so I was still kind of sitting there, and my adrenaline starts rushing a little bit, and I'm just like I don't know what's going to happen. And so then I end up going home, and I got a couple of friends over, and my parents are there, and I figured that usually you'd get like a phone call like before like they pick you or something just to kind of like solidify it. And so I'm sitting there, and I got like my ringer turned all the way up right next to me, and the Nationals I think had the pick right before us. And I was like, I still haven't like heard anything. I was like, there's no way that they picked me. I was like, they probably got somebody else. And then like my phone just starts like going off, and I was like, oh. I look at my phone and everyone's saying like congrats and whatever, and I'm looking at the screen, I'm like, what? And like, cause like our live stream was delayed, and then finally like the pick came in, said that I got picked up and everything, and I immediately was just like, oh my gosh, like this is like a lot to take in right now. But it was fun, like having all my friends around me, and being able to like celebrate with them, and it was still like really like surreal. Like I didn't really like overreact or anything like that. I mean, I feel like that's kind of everything that you all throughout your life that you kind of like work towards. So like you kind of almost in a way like not expect it to happen, but like that's your goal. Like that's what you like want to do. So and unfortunately, I mean, I didn't get to throw this year or anything, but yeah, I mean, it was a pretty cool process, and I'm just glad that I was able to kind of, first couple of picks into day 2 that we kind of were able to get that out of the way instead of taking the whole day kind of stressing about it.
What's the rest of the off season look like? You're here working out right now. You're gonna go home for a few weeks, probably come back up here at some point, use the facility, and then get rolling in spring training.
Yeah, so I mean, I was up here for like the last month, just kind of like working out, starting
Still
to throw and
shagging
everything,
BP
still
every day.
shagging BP, and I'll go home, see the family for a little bit, still continue like working out and everything, trying to get better, and then I'll end up coming up here again for maybe like a week or something for like the ring ceremony and work out here and use the facility, and then I'll try to come back up in January for a couple of weeks and finish out some of the bullpens before spring training.
Nice. Well, we'll end with this question. I should have asked it when we were talking about the recruiting process to here, but besides your conversations with Josh, what stood out? Why Oklahoma State?
When I was talking with like Aiden and Marcus and all those guys, they compared to other guys, like other schools that I was talking to with like some of the guys there, like it just seemed like very like family orientated, and like you just knew that coming in that like their like philosophy is like we're all here for like each other, and that's like what like I like really respected. That's like what I like take pride in as well. And so like we all had like the same values, and I felt like they were sort of like already like my teammates before like I even like got there or anything. And even when I was talking about it with them, like they're talking about like we really want you to be here, like we need you and everything and all this like kind of stuff. And it just felt good to kind of like hear that kind of, especially to like a junior college player, like that's all like that they kind of like, that's what they're like looking forward to is like, after their 2 years at a junior college, like they want to be able to transfer into like a big D1 school, and being able to hear it from like some of like their main guys, like y'all's main guys, like from the year prior, like it felt pretty cool to like hear that kind of stuff. And then obviously like having the conversation with Josh and just hearing like their philosophies and hearing how everything's very like family oriented, and I don't know, it just in my gut it just felt like it was like the right decision.
Oh, awesome, dude. Well, it's been a good 45 minutes. Just kind of hearing your life story, how it played out, getting a little more insight into the last year of your life. I mean, what a whirlwind it's probably been going from coming in here as a junior college national champion to third-round draft pick. I know everyone on the staff is pulling for you. We're excited for you and what the future holds. You can follow Brian on the social media. He's the little 5'8" redhead. Probably can find that really easy. There's not many of those out there that are playing baseball, unless it's Ben Leeper. But you don't know Ben.
I don't know
Ben pitched here a few years ago. He's in the Cubs organization.
See you Ginger too?
Oh, big
nice,
red beer.
nice,
So
nice.
We don't. But we're pulling for you, dude. Thanks for sitting down, kind of joining the podcast, and we're pulling for you as kind of the off season progresses, and we're excited to see you get pitching again next year. So that's it. That's the Pokes for Life podcast with Brian Holiday. Any last words?
Just happy to be here. Blessed to even have the opportunity to play here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all. That's it. That's all we got today. So we'll see you next time.